Hey guys, I was having a conversation with someone at my home church the other day, one of the members of the church, not just any member, mind you. This is one of the founding members, someone that I would call one of the founding members. And that's saying a lot now, because I know there are a lot of churches that are out there that a founding member may be someone that was there 2 years ago or even a year ago. But this church has been here for over 50 years, so it's saying a lot. So when this particular person says something, I tend to listen. Now, we were talking about various amounts of subjects, and then whenever she left, she made a comment that to know her, you would know that she said it in love. Now, typically when we say, man, I say this in love, we really mean I'm about to just nail you in the jaw with something, but she really did say this in good love and in good context. She was talking about the fact of all the people that are here and understanding the generations that are here and the demographic that's here and why the type of music is what it is. But she said, because the music here just doesn't always stimulate me. Wow. I had to ponder that as she left, and to think, there are times that I'll get ready to introduce a song and I wonder, is it too deep? Is it too meaty? And sometimes I wonder if we conscientiously disregard too many songs and instead water down stuff. Man, I love the old hymns. I grew up on the old hymns. In fact, somebody left in my office one time a little gift for me. I still don't know who did it, but it's a hymnal that's about 100 years old. And this little thing doesn't even have titles of hymns in it. It's just got hymn numbers in it. I want to read to you if you don't mind. Just one of these. Long did I toil and knew no earthly rest. Far did I rove and found no certain home. At last I sought them in his sheltering breast, who opens his arms and bids the weary come. With him I found a home, a rest divine, and since then am I his, and he is mine. The good I have is from his stores supplied. The ill is only from what he deems the best. For he is my friend, I'm rich with naught beside, and poor without him, though of all possessed. Changes may come, I take or I resign, content while I am his, while he is mine. And listen to some of those lines. Maybe you want to rewind it, listen to some of that. The ill is only what he deems the best. I just don't write stuff like that anymore. And I'm not even talking about the old style of language. I'm talking about the deepness, the richness. There are times that as a songwriter, I joke around with fellow songwriters whenever we write songs that have woes in it. And I make the joke almost to stab to say, what, we couldn't get original and think of anything to write about our God there, so we had to say woe. But at the same time, while woe might energize and charge people, I think we can tend to get repetitious with the lines and what we write instead of thinking that, people really can fathom deep lines, deep lyrics. One of the stories that I think about in songwriting that's just so deep, so powerful, so rich is a song by a guy named John Mark McMillan. It's a song called How He Loves. Many of us still to this day sing it in church because it is just so rich in lyric. Think about the awe-inspired lines in that song about being in the midst of a hurricane, that he is a hurricane and we're just a tree just bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. It's so powerful of a song. Do you believe that there is a time whenever people didn't want to sing that? Instead of me telling you about it, why don't you let John Mark tell you about it? I was reminded just the other day about an interview that I did with him in 2012 where we talked about that song and his new album at the time. Why don't you listen to what he has to say about writing songs and spiritual depth?
I think sometimes that we forget that people will go places that they haven't gone before, and they'll sing things they haven't sung before. We just have to give them permission to do it. And so I think it's funny because when I sang the song a lot and I never had any issues with the song. And then I'd be out and about and I'd hear people say, I don't know if I can do that in my church. And I'd be like, well, I mean, we do it and it works. And they're like, okay, and so then it's kind of somebody does it. And then all of a sudden, because that one person does it, all of a sudden it's like it gives people permission to sing it. So I remember there's people who wouldn't sing it until I was signed to a record label, a conservative worship label, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, this song is okay now, because there's been a stamp of approval by you know, by a by a ministry or a business, when the song has remained the same for 8 years, for the most part. Um, so I think we need to think much bigger than the way we think. Um, Not because the stuff we do isn't great or that it isn't great to sing with a group of people, but what people will sing now, and not that singing itself is what's most important, but what people will sing now or connect with now is not necessarily the way things are going to be even in the next 3 to 5 years, and definitely not in the next 10 or 20 years, So I think it's important to know your people, and to cultivate worship in your people. And when you have a trust, when people trust you, then they'll go in different places, they'll go in different directions. Um, and I think, um, you know, uh, I think there's much more. I think the Bible gives us much more permission in the areas of worship than we usually give ourselves. There's so much more in the Bible that is considered worship. Even the Psalms themselves. Um, I think there's only about 15% of them are sort of what we'd consider happy or joyful. And then the other, sort of 75, 80 percent of them are story psalms. There's history. There's the angry psalms, the war psalms, the cursing psalms, the sad ones, the laments. But for some reason, culturally, at this point in time, we don't like to. Um, we don't feel comfortable with the rest of the subject matter for some reason. We seem to want to focus on the joyful ones, which are certainly important. But I think that it's also important to recognize that there's much more there for us as a body, as a people, to explore than what we always allow ourselves.
So, worship leaders, songwriters, look, I just want to challenge you with this. When you're in the middle of songwriting and you're thinking, man, this is getting a little too deep, I'm worried that people, even seekers, aren't going to be able to resonate with this because they're not going to get it. Remember this: God created every person. God created our minds to be as beautiful and complex as they are. And we're able to comprehend things of such great complexities. Don't dumb down some of the things that should be some of the best and most creatively explained as possible. Yes, we can explain simply all day long that God is love, but that doesn't mean that we have to simply explain it in such a childish way that we don't walk away feeling challenged, feeling our minds and our hearts just tugged at. Write the songs that you feel God and the Holy Spirit prompting you to write. Don't water it down for anything. That's my challenge to you. When you say, I feel like that song's been sung before, I feel like that those lyrics have been done before, let me put it to you like Matt Redman put it to us. Matt Redman once said, writing about Jesus is like looking at an uncut diamond. There's this diamond that has all different sides of Jesus. You can look at this diamond and it's so beautiful and describe what you see, and then turn it just simply, ever so slightly, then describe it differently from that perspective. And if that resonates with you, it resonates with you. If it doesn't, blame Matt. Until next time, God bless.